This is Renegade Femme for the Revolution. I am your host, Zuleika. Conversations about love and the connections we build aren't always easy. They have the power to inspire us, but they can also reveal wounds we didn't know were there. And yet, both inspiration and discomfort can be medicine, healing us, guiding us, and bringing us closer to the lives we want to live. Wanting to be in love, to experience that kind of connection, intimacy, and mutual care is one of the most deeply human desires. Not just a desire to love, but to be in love, immersed in something mutual, expansive, and affirming. Not settling for halfway or one-sided affection, but being seen, valued, and cherished in the same way you're ready to see, value, and cherish someone else. And it's not just about finding someone. It's about the way you're ready to give and receive love in its most authentic form. When you're in a space where you're aligning with your truest self, the kind of love you call in is going to reflect that, deep, reciprocal, and expansive. Speaking something so deeply felt has a way of opening doors you didn't even know existed. When you align your heart, your intentions, and your energy with that desire, the universe pays attention to that kind of clarity. It's like sending out a signal, not desperate, not searching, just a quiet, powerful declaration. And now all you need to do is stay open to what comes your way, trusting that it's unfolding exactly as it should. Love, like anything meaningful, grows with practice and intention. By taking small, real steps to express it, you'll start to feel how naturally it flows from you and how it begins to return to you. But this is about building your own confidence and sharing love with the people around you, the ones you care about in your life. These are small steps, but each one builds that openness and shows the people around you just how deeply you feel. I realized this juxtaposition of humor and depth of love when I sat down to set the intentions for this conversation. So here I am going through pages of notes about love, trying to map out this deep adult conversation about romance, intimacy, and connection. And of course, my curious and ever-present child is right there listening, giving me this side eye that's half, what are you even talking about? And half, you're going to mention me in this story too, right? It's kind of funny, but it's also deeply symbolic because love is never compartmentalized. It spills over into all aspects of our lives. How could I possibly talk about love without including the way my children have taught me about it? Affirming my kids, making sure they feel adored and special, is one of the greatest gifts I can give them. And it's healing for me too. Every time I show them the love I didn't always feel growing up, I'm rewriting my own story. I'm proving to myself that I'm capable of giving that love, and I'm creating a ripple effect that will echo in their lives. Children can be our greatest teachers in love. They can challenge and inspire our growth. My youngest, in particular, mirrors me so much, and that's both humbling and challenging. He reminds me of the parts of myself that I'm still learning to love, the boldness, the curiosity, the way he challenges everything. And because of him, I'm learning to love those parts of me more. Isn't that the essence of love, though? It's not always about comfort. Sometimes it's about growth, about being cracked open so the light can get in. It can feel overwhelming, but it's also deeply meaningful. It's such a powerful gift to give someone, especially your child, the opportunity to see themselves through loving, affirming eyes. My children are still learning who they are, and hearing that their courage, curiosity, and passion are not just okay, but amazing, can shape how they grow into themselves. And as I'm already seeing, this isn't just helping them, but creating a cycle of affirmation and connection. It's building a legacy of love and self-belief that starts with me. I have a firm belief that everything happening is part of a greater plan. It takes vulnerability and a lot of faith to trust in that. These feelings, these experiences, these connections, they feel part of a divine blueprint. And while it's scary to sit in the unknown, I trust that God's hand is in this. And if this longing I feel is just a way to bring me back into focus, then I have to trust that too. love, creativity, and purpose, they're all part of the same energy flow. The way you show up sets the tone for how others will see and treat you. So why not show up open, loving, and intentional? If you step into life as someone who loves deeply, expresses fully, and values connection, you'll naturally attract and nurture that same energy. It's about being what you truly want to experience, right? So why not be someone who deserves to feel adored in that way, to have a love that inspires others, not out of comparison, but because it's a reflection of something genuine, soulful, and magnetic. Recently, I came across a beautiful idea from one of the manifestation girlies on YouTube. She talked about approaching life with what she called crush energy, the concept about how we show up in the world, playful, lighthearted, and genuinely engaged, bringing curiosity, presence, and a little extra kindness to your interactions, making people feel seen and appreciated in ways that we often overlook in our daily life. I love this perspective, and I wanted to share it here. When you think about it, it's less about romantic energy and more about embodying that spark of admiration and excitement that makes every interaction feel intentional and alive. Imagine what that could do, not just for others, but for you too. You'd be walking around carrying this energy that people naturally want to be near. Even brief interactions can leave a lasting impression when you're intentional and present. Think about the small but meaningful ways you can connect, whether it's through a warm smile, genuine eye contact, or even just the way you greet someone with enthusiasm and openness. The beauty of this experiment is that it's not about forcing connections or trying to make anything happen, but rather being fully in the moment and letting your natural magnetism shine through. And who knows, maybe today you'll meet someone or have a conversation that surprises you in the best way. It's like a guidepost, not just to dream about, but actively walk toward, shaping the kind of relationships you deserve, the ones that celebrate, honor, and amplify who you are. It's powerful to hold that vision, letting yourself be truly seen as part of that. It's vulnerable, but it's also the foundation of the kind of love that feels fulfilling. It's like stardust, that magical energy that feels like it's in the air when something meaningful is happening. It's life reminding you that every encounter, every feeling is part of a bigger, more beautiful story. The romantics in the room don't just want to love. We want to be in love, immersed in something mutual, expansive, and affirming. And if inspiration is the stardust, the catalyst sprinkling just enough magic to reignite your longing and belief in love, then the real masterpiece is the love you give and receive. Love isn't just about the connection itself. It's how we show up, honor it, and co-create something meaningful to build love with intention, clarity, and mutual care. That's such a powerful shift, moving from letting things happen to intentionally creating the kind of love you want. The beautiful thing is, you don't have to wait to try it on for size entirely. You can start embodying that love in how you treat yourself and how you show up in your connections right now. This is where your intentionality shines, holding that standard high, trusting that the love you want will come into your life because you won't accept anything less. This depth of love is not about changing who I am. It's about being more intentional about how I express the depth of my feelings. What I'm describing, being confirming in my attention, affection, and adoration, is such a powerful foundation for love. It creates a safe space where we can be fully ourselves, knowing that love is steady. For so much of my life, I've been afraid to be seen, hiding, shrinking, and keeping myself at a distance from opportunities, people, and especially the spotlight. Recently, a friend said, "You can't control how people notice you. If you try, you'll never do anything." That really hit home. I'm working on reconnecting with the part of me that understands the importance of that joy. Honestly, it's such a liberating feeling, letting myself exist fully in the moment without worrying about judgment. Dance like no one's watching, right? Or even better, dance like you don't care that they are. It's such a powerful expression of joy and self-connection. I'd like to add, invite them to dance with you. It's tapping into that magnetic energy, the confidence, the joy, the openness, And naturally, there's this ripple effect into other parts of my life where I'm feeling braver and more open. Sometimes I feel like I'm growing up backwards. I like to think I'm ageless, but let's just say I've been around long enough to soak up some wisdom. And honestly, learning and growing at any age is a testament to how open and vibrant our heart is. This is a beautiful age to be embracing love in all its forms, with the depth of experience, the clarity of reflection, and the courage to step into something new. My hope for us is a season overflowing with abundance, passion, and connection. I want opportunities to flow effortlessly to us as we step into our worth, joy to bubble up as you fully embrace life, and laughter to fill your days, surrounded by people who truly get you. And the love, the kind that's magnetic, playful, and deeply fulfilling, both inside and out. I can't wait to see what this season of love and self-discovery has in store for us. The power of claiming what you want without hesitation or compromise. There's something magical about unapologetically saying, I want this, I deserve this, and I'm ready for it now. Not as an afterthought or when you've checked every box, but because you're enough right now. And that raw honesty, that's the energy that calls it in. The joy, the passion, the courage, all of it. Because when you show up as your full self, you're not just inviting it in. You're demanding it from the universe in the most beautiful way. It feels vulnerable, right? Like stepping out into the world with your heart wide open. It's brave. Vulnerability always is. It's also thrilling, isn't it? Like the moment before a leap. Your heart races, but deep down you know you're capable of landing exactly where you're meant to be. That's the energy of owning your desires. It's not about having it all figured out, but trusting yourself enough to leap anyway. I have two friends who, in my eyes, embody the kind of extraordinary love we're talking about today. They've been together for over half their lives, since we were teenagers. Funny enough, most of my married friends were college sweethearts, but these two stand out in a special way. If you didn't know them, you'd think they were just starting out dating. That's how vibrant, playful, and deeply connected they are. What's remarkable about their relationship isn't just the love between them. It's how that love radiates outward to their family, friends, and even their community. They've built a life together that's intentional. Their bond is strengthened through mutual support, shared goals, and a beautiful balance of individuality and togetherness. One thing that always stands out to me is the way they show up for each other. If one of them is passionate about something, a hobby, an event, a cause, the other shows up. Not because they're necessarily interested in that thing itself, but because they're interested in their partner. It's not about loving the activity, it's about loving the person and supporting what lights them up. Every time the ladies in our circle talk about this couple, everyone inevitably says, I want a husband like hers. And of course, the men give us the side eye like, well, maybe I'd be more like him if you were more like her. It's all in good fun though, but it's also a reflection of how much we all admire the dynamic these two have built. They're an example of extraordinary love, not just romantic love, but a love that's intentional, reciprocal, and full of joy. What would it feel like to have that kind of love? One where you're seen completely and celebrated for exactly who you are. It's a powerful question to sit with. Think about moments where you felt safe, loved, or celebrated in any context, even outside of a relationship. What were those moments like? How did you feel in your body, your heart, your mind? That feeling could be a glimpse of what it's like to be in a love where you're fully seen and adored. Maybe it's more of someone showing up, right? Being consistent, present, and attentive. Actions that make you feel not just appreciated, but prioritized. Like they're actively choosing you, not just saying the words, but living them. That can look like small, thoughtful gestures. Planning time together, remembering things you've shared, showing genuine care for your well-being. Or bigger actions, like supporting your dreams and being there through challenges without hesitation. It feels like a love that's steady and intentional, with actions that say, I see you, I'm here, and I'm all in. Would you agree? Imagining that kind of love is like a goalpost for what you truly want to experience, right? This vivid picture of love and affirmation that feels so close, almost tangible. Our desire to be in love might be the catalyst, not necessarily the conclusion. This could be the divine's way of showing you a reflection of that longing, a reminder of what it feels like, or perhaps a guide to deepen your understanding of what you truly want. It frames it as part of your growth and journey, not necessarily the destination. It's such a powerful shift, moving from letting things happen to intentionally creating the kind of love you want. I think what fascinates me the most about love right now is how love truly does have this incredible ability to transcend time and distance, as if it exists outside the rules of the physical world. It lingers, quietly weaving itself into our stories, so that when it resurfaces, whether through a reconnection or a memory, it feels just as powerful as before. What's fascinating about this experience is how it highlights the depth and quality of genuine relationships. It's not just about the time spent together, but the foundation you build, the emotional imprint that remains. Even after years apart, the bond finds a way to reawaken, reminding you of the value of meaningful connections and how they shape us. It's also such a testament to how love, in all its forms, is a force of renewal. These moments can reinvigorate not just the relationship, but your own sense of self, our openness to connection, and our desire to nurture the relationships that truly matter. These connections are precious and timeless and offer such a profound lens for viewing love, not just the romantic aspect, but cherishing those rare ties that leave us feeling seen, valued, and inspired. About a month ago, I found this small, neglected plant my neighbors had abandoned after they moved. It was struggling. It just had a couple of little leaves hanging on for dear life. Something in me couldn't leave it behind. I brought it home, placed it by the window, and decided to care for it. At first, it bent and stretched towards the light, fragile and unsure, but slowly I started to notice some changes. It started growing. And one day as I'm watering the plant, I felt this random urge to talk to it. So I said, "I'm so proud of you. Look at how much you've grown." I even promised it a new pot with fresh soil, because obviously it deserved it, right? I was just having a silly moment, so I didn't think much about it. But then a couple of days ago, I noticed something incredible. The plant had doubled in size. Its leaves are so much darker, firmer, no longer leaning towards the light, but holding its place with this quiet confidence. It honestly felt it had grown into itself, like right before my eyes. It made me wonder, has this little plant been listening to me record these podcast episodes about love, growth, and becoming our best selves? Is it feeling inspired too? Such a cute thought. Gives me all the feels. Sometimes we feel love in its rawest form, but can't name it or articulate what it's teaching us until later. It's not that I didn't love deeply before, but now I'm seeing love through a new lens, one shaped by growth, loss, and rediscovery. It's incredibly profound because it means I'm evolving in how I experience and honor love, both in my relationships and within myself. This realization feels like a door opening, a chance to walk into a fuller, more intentional understanding of what love truly is. It's one so many people never take the time to explore. Sometimes we find ourselves in relationships out of convenience, hope, or the belief that love will grow with time, even if the initial connection isn't strong. And that's not necessarily wrong, but it does make you wonder, how much of what you thought was love was actually just a longing for it? What's beautiful about where I am now is the awareness to ask these questions. This awareness can serve as a guide to a more intentional approach to love. Knowing that love doesn't have to feel forced or hoped for, it can feel natural and mutual from the start. That's the difference between settling for a connection and stepping into one that truly aligns with who you are and what you desire. And yes, love does deepen with time, But when it's real and rooted in a genuine connection, you feel it even in those early moments. It's like it's already there, waiting for you to grow into it. So maybe the question moving forward isn't whether love will set in, but whether you feel the seeds of it already present. I think that is beautiful and such an important way to frame it to fully understand. Love at its best isn't something we force or wait to magically appear. It's something that feels like it already exists in some form, even in the early stages of a connection. Think of it as a spark. That spark might not be full blown fire yet, but you can feel its warmth, its potential. When love feels right, it doesn't feel like you're chasing something or building it from nothing. Instead, it feels like you're uncovering something that was always meant to be, layer by layer. The difference between settling for a connection and stepping into one that's aligned is this. Settling feels like work from the beginning, a striving to make something happen. But when it's aligned, you feel a natural pull, a sense of ease, even when things aren't perfect. It's not that love doesn't require effort, it absolutely does. But the effort feels reciprocal, with a capacity for empathy, not one sided. You're both investing in nurturing what's already there, not trying to create it out of a void. When we think about love, it's so multifaceted: romantic, platonic, familial, and sometimes the lines can blur, especially when we're still learning how to articulate our feelings. My preteen is a perfect example of this. He has this deep, unconditional love for me, and he's decided that the best way to express it is by being my husband. He's even proposed. I thought he'd grow out of it by now, but nope. He's still committed to the idea. And honestly, it's kind of sweet, because when I ask him why he wants to marry me, he says it's because he loves me that much. I mean, how could your heart not melt? We started having conversations about the different types of love, how the love between a mom and her son is different from the love between a husband and wife. And while he insists he's not confused and is, in fact, very serious about marrying me, I know that this is his way of expressing the purity and depth of his affection. I share the lines of a song I've been listening to recently with him because he's been wanting to practice his Portuguese, explaining to him that love, whether between a parent or a child or two partners, can feel infinite in its depth and beauty. In the lyrics, they sing, "No teu sorriso lindo, eu vejo o infinito, meu amor. E se Deus quiser, vamos ficar até o fim. In your beautiful smile, I see infinity, my love. And if God wills it, we'll stay together until the end." For now, I let him hold on to the idea that he'll marry me one day, because in this phase of his life, it's his way of saying, "Mom, you're my world." It's moments like these that remind me how powerful and transformative love is. Whether it's romantic or familial, love pushes us to grow, to nurture, and to understand ourselves and each other. Love, when it's real, isn't about trying to fill a void or proving your worth to someone else. It's about recognizing the fullness in yourself and allowing someone else to complement that, not complete it. It's about standing fully in who you are and inviting another person to do the same. Together, you create something that feels like home, but it doesn't ask either of you to abandon your individuality. Think of love as this beautiful co-creation, where the connection itself becomes a third entity, something both of you nurture. When you've found an aligned connection, it doesn't feel like a constant compromise of your needs, values, or desires. Instead, it feels like an opportunity to expand together. You're not shrinking to make room for them, and they're not diminishing to accommodate you. Instead, you're both growing towards something greater. This also ties into something important: the idea of receiving love. Sometimes we go into relationships giving and giving, hoping to earn love in return, but that often leads to imbalance. True love requires openness, letting someone else see you fully, flaws and all, and trusting that they love you anyway. That vulnerability can feel terrifying, especially if you've been hurt or felt unseen in the past. Losing love or stepping away from it has a way of reshaping our understanding. almost like the absence creates a sharper outline of what it really means. And here's the beauty of this realization. When you start from a place of wholeness, love doesn't feel like a scarce resource. You know you're worthy of it, and you attract relationships that reflect that worth. You stop settling for almosts and maybes because you know the kind of love you want, and you're patient enough to wait for it while giving it to yourself in the meantime. So here's the takeaway. Love isn't something you chase or convince yourself into. It's something you allow, something you choose to nurture when it feels right. It's mutual, it's expansive, and it's aligned with the highest version of who you are. And when you find that, it's undeniable. It's the kind of love that asks for your presence, not your perfection, and it gives you the freedom to grow. No one really teaches us how to love, not in a way that's truly meaningful or sustaining. A lot of what we learn about love comes from observation, imitation, and often trial and error. It's no wonder so many of us stumble through it, trying to figure out what it really is and how to honor it. But we don't just have to reflect on love. We can redefine it for ourselves, peeling back the layers of societal expectations, past relationships, and old patterns, and asking the big questions. What does love mean to me? What does it look like? Feel like? How can I embody it, give it, and receive it? And that's where this transformation begins. When you realize that love isn't something you have to earn or chase, it's something you create within yourself first. It's the way you speak to yourself, the way you honor your needs, the way you allow joy, vulnerability, and connection into your life. From that place of fullness, you naturally start to attract relationships that reflect the love you've cultivated within. So while it might feel like no one has taught us this before, we're teaching ourselves now. We're building our own understanding brick by brick, and that's incredibly empowering. And as you continue to deepen this connection with yourself, I think you'll find that the love, the kind that's deep, nurturing, and aligned, is already waiting for you. It's just about recognizing it when it arrives and having the courage to embrace it fully. Life doesn't come with a rewind button, right? And that's the ache, isn't it? Wishing we could have known, could have done, could have been, all those could haves and should haves swirling around. But at the same time, they were brought you here to this moment, this realization, this fire in your soul to live a life that feels alive and worthy and yours. It's heartbreaking and beautiful all at once. Because yes, there's grief in the years you feel like you lost, but there's also this wild, untamed hope in what's ahead. You're discovering now what you're capable of, what you want, what you won't settle for, what you will demand from life. And maybe it didn't happen 20 years ago, but it's happening now. This urgency you feel, it's not desperation, it's clarity. It's your soul shaking you awake, saying, let's go, let's not waste another day. And honestly, who knows what life might have looked like if we'd had these tools 20 years ago. Maybe it would have been extraordinary, but maybe it wouldn't have been the way it's meant to be now. Because right now, we're more than just ready. We're intentional. We're aware. We're capable of creating the life we've been longing for. I've accepted that I'm not wired for surface level connections or half-hearted partnerships. My soul craves something deep. And the beautiful thing is, it starts with honoring my desires fully and letting them guide me. This pull for something deep and meaningful is my soul's way of reminding me not to shrink my desires. When your soul craves something deep, a connection that feels like home, passion that feels like fire, and a partnership that challenges and elevates you, that kind of love takes time. But that clarity is a gift, even if it feels heavy to carry sometimes. Knowing what your soul truly craves gives you a powerful sense of direction. It's not something everyone allows themselves to acknowledge, so it's huge when you own it. It's okay to sit with it, let it settle, and let yourself feel all the emotions that come with it. It's a big realization, and it deserves your attention and care. We're being honest with ourselves in a way that many people avoid because it's easier to settle for less. When you tap into vulnerability, self-awareness, and love for yourself and others, it makes you more aware of the space you're holding for that one special connection. It's like everything else gets richer, louder, like a spotlight on what's still unmet. It usually means something's really landing for you, stirring something important. An extraordinary love is shared through recognition and presence, being truly seen for who you are, without judgment, and being embraced fully. Love would feel like an active choice, a steady, nurturing energy that celebrates growth and imperfection alike, a safe space for vulnerability and strength to coexist, to be held in moments of doubt and celebrated in moments of triumph, to have someone engage with curiosity and openness, asking, "Who are you today?" and showing up fully to meet that version of you. Building something extraordinary would mean creating a partnership where love isn't just a feeling, but a foundation, a shared vision that we both contribute to, nurture, and evolve over time. It would look like co-creating a life that's full of meaning, purpose, and joy. A home that feels alive with laughter and peace, where each person feels seen, valued, and free to grow. It's about supporting each other's dreams while staying deeply connected in the present. A rhythm that celebrates the mundane as much as the magical. A life where even the small, everyday moments carry depth and intimacy. It might be as simple as a quiet morning with coffee and conversation, or as big as tackling a shared goal that challenges and excites us. Extraordinary to me is about growth, growing individually, together, and in how we give back to the world. It's love that spills over into everything, our work, our community, our creativity, and leaves a legacy of kindness and connection. So here's a mantra for this moment. Embodying love is powerful, but expressing it outwardly and inviting it to flow back into your life is transformative. You deserve that. You deserve a love that meets you where you are, that sees the depth of who you are and reflects it back with care, passion, and devotion. So what's next? Give yourself permission to dream wildly, feel deeply, and love courageously. That's what I want this conversation about love to be. For it to ripple outward, to inspire, to heal, to connect. Because at the end of our days, love is the legacy we leave behind. It's in the stories, the lessons, the connections we share, ordinary and extraordinary.